Sooner Nation, Longhorn fans, welcome to episode 206 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin. There's not very many ranked matchups this week, but two of those ranked matchups occur in Austin, Texas, and Knoxville, Tennessee. If we start with the Texas Longhorns, they look at facing the prospect of not having legend in the making Arch Manning at quarterback, concussion protocol following the amazing season he's had so far. People wonder how Texas can even field a team without the one-man wrecking show that has been Arch Manning. I know you've talked about the fact that you wonder if they should even play the game if Arch can't play. I don't know that you should go that far, Kevin, but I think there's real question marks as to Texas's ability to even field a football team against the highly ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. All joking aside, Arch is questionable, and is that even an issue? Are you happy about it? Are you happy you get to see the backup quarterback? Do you think it's finally time for a change? Is this all part of the master plan for Texas to roll off 4 straight wins, finish 10-2, and make it to the playoff with Arch not even in it?
No. Arch is the guy. Everybody who's like, oh, we want to see Matthew Caldwell.
Is he the guy? Is he the guy?
He's absolutely the guy. Yes. No, I don't want to see the backup quarterback. Listen, am I happy to have Matthew Caldwell? Has he came in a couple times and threw a couple of nice passes? Yes. I just don't want to see Matthew Caldwell behind this offensive line. It needs to be Arch.
Does Arch survive another game behind this offensive line? You've been talking about it for weeks now. That he's getting beat up like a he's getting beat up like a rag doll.
He is. He gives us our best. I firmly believe he gives us our best chance to win football games.
Okay, it is Thursday morning. As of last night's injury report, him and Michael Taft are listed as questionable. Let's start with Arch, obviously. Is there a chance he progresses and plays, or is the mood around Austin that Matthew Caldwell's the guy and that's who y'all are rolling with?
No, from what I heard, there's a chance. I think everybody's prepping for Matthew Caldwell to potentially play, but I think there is a chance that Arch goes out there. And I mean, if he's cleared, great. But if he's not, we got to roll with Caldwell and see what we can make happen. But I'm not one of those people who wants to see Caldwell in over Arch. He's a starter for a reason.
What kind of player is Caldwell? What would the offense do? Anything differently? Better runner, better thrower?
Definitely not a better runner. Arch is pretty good at the running thing. When it comes to throwing, he's better in the RPO and intermediate stuff, the Quinn Ewers stuff. I think he's better at that from what I hear. We haven't seen much of him at all. We know he came in and threw a touchdown pass and his only pass attempt of the game, right? So the kid has got some toughness, mental toughness about him, and he has a lot of experience. I think he's just taking advantage of his opportunity coming from Troy. And he came to Texas to be the backup quarterback to Arch Manning. He was a starting quarterback at Troy. He was okay there. But again, he came to Texas to back up Arch Manning, got in, took advantage of his opportunity. And if he plays this week, we'll see what he can do. I don't know. But again, my trust is more with Arch Manning than Matthew Caldwell.
That's fascinating that he took a backup job in this era of portal movement. You'd think the idea behind the portal is wanting to play.
Yes.
I just wonder out of curiosity, and I don't think you know the answer to this. I know I don't know the answer to this. What do you think the going rate for a backup quarterback is at Texas?
I have no idea. Yeah, that is a really good question.
You think he makes $500,000 to hold a clipboard?
I don't think so.
You don't think it's that much?
But I don't think so, but who knows? That's a lot for a backup quarterback, man. That is a lot of money. Even with Texas having money, that's a lot.
Okay, well, that's what I'm just throwing a number out there. So you're taking the under.
Yeah, I would take the under. Yeah.
I just wonder about it, right? Because, especially in these schools that have clear, defined quarterbacks, they do have to bring guys in as the backup. So you think about Nussmeier hasn't had the year that we wanted, but Nussmeier before the year, Kate Klubnik before the year, Lenora Sellers, like guys that just
Cemented
no doubt.
starters.
There's no doubt these guys are starting. They're getting paid to start. There's nothing that could happen. There's literally nothing that could happen that they don't start. They do have to bring somebody in, or it's going to be a true freshman situation.
Yeah,
and I don't think any. So
correct.
I don't know.
And that's the thing. It's kind of been interesting because Texas had Trey Owens, who they liked initially, but apparently has not progressed enough to where they would trust him coming into the game. And then the third quarterback is KJ Lacey, true freshman, who they like, but they don't feel he's ready to come into the game in the event that, Arch would have gotten injured, which has happened. Last year, having Arch saved us because Quinn missed multiple games. The year before that, right, having Malik Murphy saved us because, again, Quinn missed multiple games. So I think the staff knew we got to have somebody with some experience, or at least with some crazy talent back there in case our, starter gets hurt. So we'll see what happens. Again, I like the fact that he is tough and that he was able to come in and throw a touchdown pass. I just don't know how he would look playing an entire game against a legit SEC defense.
Well, it's just weird to think that Vanderbilt's coming in as legit as they are, ranked number 9th, 7-1. Their only loss is to Alabama on the road in a game that they look back with some regret on some mistakes they made, that they feel like, golly, if we could have turned, who knows? None of that happened. But they're not sitting there going, we got boat rolled by Alabama. They're sitting there thinking, we were in this football game and we don't make some stupid mistakes and we give ourselves a chance.
We have a chance to win. Yes.
I think that's real. I think the biggest thing coming into this game is whether it is Arch, whether it's Matthew Caldwell, whoever it is what is the mood coming out of the Mississippi State and the Kentucky wins? Is it, hey, we can't lose? Or is it, by God, we're holding on by the fingertips on the ledge right here?
Yeah, I think for the team, the team probably feels good. Hey, we're finding ways to win. We haven't played a home game since September, which is just one of the most bizarre scheduling things that I've seen in a long time, right? I mean, here we are, it's going to be November 1st, and to not have a home game since September. So I think they're going to be happy to be at home. It should be a great crowd welcoming the team back after, not having a game in Austin in so long. So I think it's going to be a great environment. I think the team sees it as an opportunity to knock off a really good Vanderbilt team and to keep their slim their slim playoff hopes alive.
Diego Pavia he's just one of those college football quarterbacks that, we're going to look back in 10 or 12 years and go, man, that guy was a ball player, wasn't he? I mean, I don't believe any of us think he's going to set the pros on fire in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right. But dude, he's just a really, 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 really good college quarterback. He's put himself into some Heisman talks. A win against Texas on the road, I think, really elevates him.
That'll help. That'll help for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's just a guy.
He's not going to throw. He's not going to throw for 300 against y'all, but he can throw for 220 and run for 120. What is the defensive plan for a guy like Pavia for the Texas defense?
I think they'll have a dedicated spy, and they'll switch the spy. That's what Texas does a pretty good job of not just having one guy who's spying on him the entire game, right? When they face mobile quarterbacks, they'll have sometimes it'll be Anthony Hill, sometimes it's Colin Simmons, sometimes it's Jelani McDonald coming down from safety. So they like to switch the spy to keep, the offense off balance with that. But, my biggest concern, and I think teams, Pavia has one of those personalities, right? He puts himself out there. He's very, very confident. He believes that he's the best player on the field, no matter who they're playing. He believes that they're going to win every game they play, no matter who they're playing. Alabama, Texas, Georgia, whatever. He feels like they're going to win. So sometimes as a defense, you get so zoned in on him. We're going to shut this dude up. We're going to go hit this guy. you start chasing him, and then he just stops and throws it to a wide open tight end because you're just so
Yeah.
focused on what he can do as a passer and as a runner. So I'm more concerned about, their running game. Cedric Alexander averaging 5.3 yards. Now, probably is their leading rusher, right? But they almost have like a triple option type offense. They got, Pavio 458 yards rushing, Cedric Alexander with 388 yards rushing. And they got this McKalen Young guy who's averaging 12 yards a carry, 31 carries for 382 yards. How is that possible? So they've got a lot of guys that you have to account for. They almost run almost like a triple option type, but out of the spread. It's very interesting the way they do. One thing they also do that's interesting is they flip their linemen. Like they have like weak and strong side linemen. So yeah, it's crazy. The left and the outside guys, the tackle and guard, will switch depending on the formation to the
Wait a
left
minute.
and right side.
Wait a minute. I was not expecting this today. I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it's never been done, but I'm just saying I've never heard of that at a power. Let's just call it a Power 4 school.
Yes.
To be done with any regularity. I can imagine maybe something in a goal line package or something like that. But you're saying darn near every play, whether they're on the weak side or the strong side, they just roll out and line
You
up.
got basically a strong side and a quick side. Yes. So when they're running power, they put these two guys on one side, and then if they're looking for like a speed type deal, trying to get to the edge, they'll run into the quick side. It's very, very interesting.
Okay. All right. I want to explore this a little bit. Why would that not tip off defenses as to what you're running?
I think they can run play action off of it. I think that's how you tip off. That's
So
how
they're
you
running. And when you say play action, is it more RPO?
It can be RPO or even just a play action to like a rollout to get the quarterback on the edge, get your numbers flowing to that side, and then thinking it's a handoff, and then all of a sudden probably is rolling out the other way, and there's a tight end leaking to the flat or something like that.
That's fascinating.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
I don't even know. What tree is that from?
That's a really good question. I mean, it sounds like some old school Tom Osborne, Nebraska type stuff. I don't even know if they were doing that, but that's kind of where, again, they run it's almost like a triple option, but it's not. It'll line up like that.
Is it like an old school Colin Klein K-State offense?
I think that would be a really good comparison, something like that.
What sounds a little tricked up, though.
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you got to watch out because they can lull you and you think they're running, and then their tight end, Eli Stowers, who's been around forever. He was actually the quarterback at Denton Guyer High School before Jackson Arnold was. And he goes to A&M, big time 4-star recruit at quarterback, and then ends up never really I think he got injured, never really won the job, transfers to Vanderbilt, becomes a tight end. He's really good. He's a leading receiver, 397 yards. So they're not necessarily a big play passing game offense, but they'll lull you to sleep with the run, and then they'll do a hard play action and leak Stowers, down the field. And that's how they get their shots. So they require a lot of discipline from your defense, not getting too upfield. You got to contain. So it'll require it. We match up better against them than we do against Levy's offense. I can't stand playing against a Jeff Levy offense. He does a really good job of exposing Texas's weaknesses on defense. We match up better against them, Vanderbilt, from a physical standpoint. But like I said, it just requires a lot of discipline from really everybody, or somebody's going to be running down the field for a touchdown. And in a game like this, where Texas offense has not been great this season, every point is going to matter. So you cannot give up a huge play like that.
Yeah, because the Vanderbilt, they're okay if the game is 21-17.
Oh, yeah, they prefer it.
They're just fine with that. And look, I almost wonder, it sounds like you want Arch. That's fine.
100%. Yes.
No. That's great. But I almost wonder if having a Caldwell back there would force Sark's hand to run the ball. right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, what does Vandy's defensive line look like compared to Texas's offensive line?
You
Is
know,
there
they're
any
pretty
sort?
good. I
They're
would say advantage Vanderbilt.
is it really okay?
Just because, our offensive line is not good. So,
Yeah.
I mean, every team we play this season, for the most part, it's going to be, even Arkansas, is going to be advantage them on the defensive line compared to the offensive line. It's not going to be fixed this year.
Yeah, but you were able to exploit some stuff in the OU game.
Correct. Yes. It
Could
comes
you
down
look
to
to
Sark. Is he going to run? Correct. Is he going to run the offense he has instead of the offense he wants?
Well, that's what I mean. Does Caldwell force his hand? You know what I
We'll
mean? Does
see.
he?
Yeah, I would hope so. If he's in there, yeah. Just call a
Okay.
game plan to win the game.
Okay. Texas beats Vanderbilt if what?
Well, if they don't turn the ball over, if they force Vanderbilt, especially Pavia, into a couple of interceptions, and they find some sort of a running game. Doesn't have to be dominant. Doesn't have to be 300 yards rushing. But if they have an OU-like performance offensively, the same type of performance they had against Oklahoma is good enough to beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that turnover deal's. That's the easy answer. I think you're right, but it's still the easy answer.
And Pavia he'll throw us a couple. Kind of like what I said with Mateer. He'll throw you one or two. You just have to come down with it.
Yeah. Michael Taft, though, also questionable. What's that do to your secondary if you're thinking about turnovers?
Well,
Turnovers in the
obviously,
back end.
we had issues last week without him. Now, I think a lot of that is scheme related with Levy and exploiting some just fundamental schematic weaknesses that we have in coverage in the middle of the field. Vanderbilt does not have that type of team that can expose that. They don't got 4-3 receivers going across the field that are challenging the linebackers. They don't have that. So I feel better about our secondary without Michael Taft this week than I did last week, but it certainly helps. He's an All-American semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. It just helps having him in there. He helps with all the communication stuff too.
Okay, who's more likely to play, Taft or Arch Manning?
I would say Taft.
Because it's not concussion.
Correct. Yeah, those things are serious, man. It's serious. So again, if he's cleared to play, he should play. But I would understand completely if he's not cleared to play, a week after. It was a pretty big hit he took. It was a I'm not saying it was targeting, but it was a helmet-to-helmet hit from behind.
Yeah.
As he was already being tackled low. So.
Okay. Shifting to Knoxville, Tennessee. Oklahoma takes on the Volunteers. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite. Tennessee is they're a very interesting team, a lot like Oklahoma, with a couple of exceptions. But one of those things is that Oklahoma does have a win against a ranked team in Michigan. But outside of that, and I'm assuming Michigan's still ranked, I think they are. Outside of Michigan, Oklahoma hasn't performed particularly well against other ranked teams. Tennessee has 2 losses against Georgia and Bama. But when I look at their schedule, I don't see anybody else that it's like, oh, they beat them.
Yeah, not at all.
So they got a win against Kentucky. They got a win against Mississippi State. They got a close win against Arkansas. They beat Syracuse, East Tennessee State, and UAB. So it's not like Tennessee is a giant killer or a giant slayer that tripped up a couple times. It's the 2 matchups they had that they hoped to be in, they fell short.
Correct.
However, the spread is 56.5. I'm sorry, the over-under 56.5. The spread's 3.5, which makes the score somewhere around 30 to 27. Based on, if you break that down, that would be Tennessee's lowest output of the season, except for Alabama. Alabama held them to 20. And that would be Oklahoma's most points in an SEC game at 27.
Yeah, I think that tells you, what they think about specific units on each team. Tennessee's defense has not been great, especially in the secondary.
It is so far. I went to rank like where they're at because like I was like Oklahoma's second lowest points per game of the season in the country at 12.5 points and some other stuff like that. I went to like look at Tennessee's defensive ranks. You got to scroll all the way down.
They're struggling. Yeah,
they are really, really struggling, and it's not just a couple of games that lit up. It's like every team they played's lit them up.
Correct. Yeah, they have not covered well on the back end this year at all. If you look at the scores, we'll just go through them: 26 against Syracuse, 17 against. I mean, that's a lot for Eastern Tennessee State. 17, 44 against Georgia, 24 against UAB, 34 against Mississippi State. 31 against Arkansas, 37 against Bama, and then 34 against Kentucky. And Kentucky's not, offensively. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So there's going to be opportunities there.
The problem is that Mateer's at a crossroads in the season. I think OU's at a crossroads in the season, and largely at the hands of John Mateer. And he is coming off a week of intense scrutiny based on his play against Ole Miss. So, against Texas, everybody was so willing, and maybe rightfully so, to write off his performance because of the thumb. Oh, well, how do you expect? And it's a miracle he even played. Well, should he have been out there? That's, whatever. But it's a miracle he even played. That's just where it's at. He's guarding against a thumb. He couldn't run. Okay. Well, the thumb, we're done with the thumb now. OU fan, done with the thumb. Like, this is not legitimate anymore in terms of like what is a reasonable excuse for how he's playing. So he goes against Mississippi. Again, I think they should have relied on the run a crap ton more than they did. I don't know how you have a tailback that has 126 yards and only gets 9 carries. We talked about that. We'll talk about it some more. They need to run the ball and take the pressure off them. But at the end of the day, a quarterback has to find guys that are open when they're open, and they're open, and he's missing them.
Right. Yeah, it was the decision making. It's not like sometimes you can miss throws, and he misses throws, but he's not taking the open ones.
Yeah, he's not taking
what the was the biggest example of that.
He's not taking
Satania open on the whip route. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Satania open on the whip route on 4th and 5. All you need to do is just get the first down to extend the game. He throws a corner route to Giovanni Gibson in double coverage when Satania's open on the whip route for a first down.
And you're like, why? Right?
Yeah,
you're just left going, and you almost wonder, it's so weird, right? Because you almost wonder, was the Giovanni Gibson the first read? I mean, it almost
you
feels like
think so.
But it's a weird
he's a big play hunter.
Yeah. I think the route, it seems like, and obviously haven't seen the playbook, but it seems like that route was just used to get the safety back, to give Satania the space. And the disappointing thing about that play is if he catches it, he could turn upfield. It's not like he was just going to get the first down. He probably, with his speed, could have caught it and turned upfield for a big play. But again, in that moment, you just need the first down. I think it's his nature, John, to look for the biggest play possible. That's just who he is. I don't think he can help himself in those moments.
Well, I don't know any other way to say it, but that's dumb at this level.
It is.
It's just dumb football.
And it's he's one of those guys. When you can make things happen, think about this, John. The quarterbacks that get sacked the most are not the quarterbacks who are pocket statues. It's the mobile guys. It's the Russell Wilsons, the Justin Fields. The athletic quarterbacks are the one who gets, because they always believe that they can make something happen until they can't, which leads to a lot of negative plays and things like that. I think he falls in that category.
Well, if what you're saying is true, and look, I think you're as astute at describing what's happening on a football field as anybody I know. I think that's just really dumb. I mean, I really do. I think, that's all. Hey, look, I'm all for going and making a play, and there's times you have to do it and times but dude, we're trying to win a football game.
Yeah.
And picking up a first down is a pretty big step towards winning a football game.
Correct.
And if we've got an offensive coordinator that who's worked with this kid now for 3 years into some
that's his
extent.
guy. And he trusts him. He trusts him over anything else, clearly.
How he
Play calling
can't say-
indicates that.
How he can't go money line, you got to hit this dude in the flat. Like,
Yeah.
there's not another read for you to make. This is the read. He's going to be open in the flat.
You would think, right, before that play,
that seems really frustrating to me.
For sure. It would frustrate me too. It seems like one of those things before the play, you go to him, hey, listen, we just need the first down here. All right, the big play. If it's there, you take it, but we just need the first down. Just so if he's open there on the whip route, just hit him. Just live to fight another play.
Well,
and I think that's a tough part.
If you think about like the Michigan game and even the Auburn game, he took what the defense gave him, and that was the winning recipe, right? I can't think back to the Michigan game and think of like some amazing play he made, but it was a culmination of a lot of plays, right? That just kept building and building and building. And the same thing in the second half of the Auburn game. There wasn't any miracle Auburn plays that he made. It was just took what the defense gave him, crossing routes, short passes, move the ball down the field, get going, get some rhythm. And so that's what's even more frustrating, if what you're saying is true, is he hasn't made those big plays to necessitate taking the risk of making the big play.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And honestly, John, here's the biggest thing I've noticed with Mateer over the past few weeks. The passing, like the 17 to 31, like that is not, we've kind of seen that from him all year.
I think that's who he is.
Yes,
I think that's who he is.
That is who he is. The biggest issue, though, is, and I don't think it's a thumb in this case, he has not had the mobility that he had early in the season. And I think all the carries that he's had has caught up to him. And I'm not even talking about the thumb here. I think he's just banged up because he's gotten hit so much. When he gets to the edge in the last few weeks, he doesn't look like the same guy from an explosive standpoint. He doesn't look fast as he was. Or remember, he's breaking off 20, 30-yard runs against the likes of Michigan and Temple and even Auburn. He hasn't. I think he's just banged up. I think he's gotten hit too much. All those carries he's gotten earlier in the season, those hits he was taking against Texas, other teams on your schedule, I think it's caught up to him. And I don't think he can run like he could in the first few weeks of the season. And that really limits his effectiveness because that's just so much a big part of what he does and what makes him a good player.
I think there's two things along those lines. I agree with you. First of all, I agree with you. But I think there's two things along those lines. The first thing is, maybe he's banged up. Probably he's banged up. But I think even more importantly is he's not playing SEC defenses regularly. When he's at Washington State, you're not playing SEC defenses. You can beat guys that were on Washington State's schedule last year. Okay? You're not beating those same athletes against Texas and Ole Miss and Auburn in the same manner. It's South Carolina. If Dylan Stewart's playing, you're not beating those guys. Okay?
True.
And so I think as much as whatever banged up injury has to do with it, I think the competition has a pretty large contributing factor to that as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess what I've noticed is even when teams blow contain, that's what got my attention.
No, that's fine.
Where he has room. He's got room to
I don't think he looks as decisive when he has room. So I think look, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just adding other factors.
Yeah, correct. And I'm sure it's all of the above. So when you get he's coming off of the injury.
But does that make sense? Like when he
he can't get to the edge. Getting to the edge against the likes of Temple was a lot easier than trying to get to the edge against Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons and
100%.
Suntaran Perkins from Ole Miss.
And now when when something breaks down with contain, whether it's he's guarding against a thumb or he's just not there physically, or it's just a confidence issue, which also seems to be the case with the ball, with the actual throwing of the ball. He just doesn't seem to be able to make a decision and go. It's like he dances a little bit and then says, "Oh, well, I guess I'm going to run," and it's no,
it's too late. Yeah,
it's too late. Okay,
and
so
there's going to be opportunities against this Tennessee secondary for him in Satania. Also, too,
Tanya right now is really your only reliable guy. I would feel like he's the only guy I trust if I was an OU fan. I don't know how you feel about that.
Keontae Lewis is doubtful. I think.
How did he play against Texas again? When he hasn't played since. Did he get re-injured, or is it the same issue from?
No, I think he got re-injured. That was a concussion.
Okay.
That was whatever he hit into the wall. I think this is different.
Okay.
I think that kid was a very dynamic part of the offense early in the season.
Yeah, he was starting to really come on. He was.
Until
with Burks,
until Michael Hawkins killed him. But yes, that's okay. But first, let me go back to Mateer, and then I want to come back to wide receivers.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Right. Yeah, of course.
This is gonna be the most obvious John Whitson thing that's ever been said on the Boomer Bevo podcast. But the second factor with regards to John Mateer's mobility, whether it's injury, decision making, increase in competition, athletic competition or whatever, is they're not giving him a break by running the damn ball.
They put too much on him.
Just give him a damn break for a minute. Let him have a series where he turns around and hands the ball off 6 times. Like, we're in the SEC. Like, your quarterback is going to get look at Arch. Your quarterback's going to get the crap beat out of him. Look at Lenoir Sellers. Guys get beat up in the SEC. That's the nature of this league that we're in now. That is why we don't know how much Caldwell's making, but I bet he's making more than we think. Because there's a realization that your quarterback's going to get beat up a little bit. One way, Ben Arbuckle, to keep your boy upright is to let somebody else tote the rock when you got dudes that can. So, middle of the season, right, coming off of the Auburn game, I'm thinking, well, God, maybe we just can't run the ball. Like, I don't know, maybe we just can't run the ball.
It looked like you couldn't run the ball.
And so if you go look at my post-Auburn comments in the week, it's like, okay, well, then just go short game then. Like, go short passing game and I still wasn't advocating quarterback run. I was just saying short passing game, build up this. Okay, we somehow, despite every attempt not to, Oklahoma has developed a run game. South Carolina followed up within a good running game against Ole Miss that just wasn't utilized. And it's like,
once you try to run it.
Yeah. And now it's like, okay, get your boys a breather here, right? This is a gauntlet. We've got to go through Tennessee before we even get to a bye week. And now you're at the point now, unfortunately, where you're playing Tennessee, you gotta go all in or the season. So 3 losses at this point, and you've probably eliminated yourself.
We're both in the same boat here.
I don't think you're beating Alabama. I don't think Oklahoma's beating Alabama. The more I watch Alabama play, play.
Kalen DeBoer scheming up stuff, man.
And here's the deal, right? You've got freshmen. We're going to talk about this. You got true freshmen. You got Fasusi. Now they put Foje in for Derek Simmons, who didn't look bad.
No.
And then you talked about the Eddie Pierre-Louis switch at halftime. Looks like he's going to be our starter at guard as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, you make that change for a reason. It was not because of injury.
It's not because of injury. So, again, as much I think we like these guys, right? I think we think these guys are going to be really good stalwarts for us.
I mean, my thoughts. You've known my thoughts on Fasusi since he was beginning of his high school senior year. So,
and I don't think Foje. I mean, Foje didn't play perfect game.
I like Foje too. No,
but you didn't see anything against Ole Miss that freaked you out, right? About having him out there.
No.
Right.
No.
So my point in all this though is they're still young freshmen. You do not need to put all the pressure. Let them do some run blocking. Let them get out on the edge. These guys are young guys. Athletic.
There's nothing offensive linemen like more. If you told the offensive line we're going to run it 50 times, they'd be like, yes. There's nothing they like more than leaning on people and imposing their will.
And dude, I think these are guys that, especially, listen, I like what Foje was doing. I think this is where you're going to have, I think this is the kind of game you've got to do it, right? Tennessee doesn't have the front line that they had last year.
No, they lost a lot of talented players.
Their defensive line last year was
to the first round.
So good. So good.
They were awesome.
So, and back to the wide receiver conversation. So you bring up we've kind of covered a lot here, but I think it's all really good stuff. Satania for sure is the number one, clear number one. I like what he's doing. I talked about it in the Ole Miss game. He was a player of the game. And even with the fumble, it was a backbreaker. Where has Deion Burks been? I don't know if that's a Burks thing or an offense thing or a Mateer thing. I don't know. But I'll tell you the one that I wish we'd see more of, which I wouldn't have said this coming out of, fall camp, is where's Jared Cannon? Where's Jared Cannon gone from the offensive game plan?
I would have to think
he was dominant against Michigan. He's one of the reasons we beat Michigan.
For sure. Absolutely. I think he's become a focal point of defenses.
That's okay. If you're right about that, and that's what's allowing.
There's no other explanation unless he's injured too and can't run. Because obviously he's pretty dynamic running. Just as a runner with the ball in his hands or just getting open, I think he's become a focal point. I think what y'all do best when your passing game is Tatania and Jaren Cannon. That's what teams are accounting for in the middle of the field. I think they're clogging the middle of the field. And you guys like to use him on those crossing routes, and I think teams are really looking at him, really looking for him. It has to be either that or he's injured. Nothing else would make sense.
And I think that's what not having Keontae Lewis hurts, is him being on the outside, able to draw some of that pressure off the middle. We're hoping Giovanni Gibson can do that. He hasn't done it yet, although he did do it in the one play you're describing on the fourth down, where he drew a double coverage.
Yeah,
but that's
to open up something else. Yeah. With Gibson, it's hard to expect much from him with him getting into the season so late on an offense that's kind of struggling. It's hard. That dude's massive, though. That dude is huge.
Aguilar for Tennessee is averaging 293 yards per game passing, darn near 66% completion percentage, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He only has 8 sacks on the year. OU's defense has 29 sacks. We're not great at turning the ball over, but we are good at sacks. We are good at tackles for loss and sacks. And then we've only allowed 157 yards per game passing and then 84.9 per game rushing. This is the good on good matchup, right? It's the Tennessee offense, the OU defense. Tennessee's going to be at home. Who do you give the edge to?
Well, this is really dependent on. This is a David Stone, Grayson Halton, R. Mason Thomas game. If you can get pressure on Aguilar, you'll be okay. If you cannot, it's going to be a long day. We've seen some struggles from the OU secondary this season when the pressure cannot get there. So in order for you guys to win this game, and I think you can win it, it's going to have to be a monster game from those 3 guys I just mentioned. David Stone, who's been great this year.
Yeah.
By the way, he's been, and Grayson Halton, who I've told you about last 2 years as an interior rusher. I think he's fantastic. And of course, R. Mason Thomas, we already know what he's about. You got to have massive games. It's important. The season's on the line. Obviously, I'm sure you'll send some blitzes too to try to get to him, because you have to get to him. You just cannot trust your secondary, and really most secondaries in the country, to cover the type of speed that they have a receiver. They're just going to keep running deep and running deep. They're going to mix in a couple crossers too with the deep throws. But yeah, you got to get after Aguilar in order to win this football game. And I can't wait to watch that. That's the matchup I'm most looking forward to, is that good on good matchup.
Oh, it's going to be so good. All right. We'll make our picks here in a second. Kevin, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Brown O'Haver, Public Insurance Adjusting Company, based in Moore, Oklahoma. Been there since 2006. Alice, Jessica, Jeffrey, Austin, Lauren, Jeff, Kylie, myself, a ton of knowledgeable staff members at Brown O'Haver with years of experience adjusting claims for the insured, not the insurance company. If you've had a loss to your home or your business, you want to call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Typically get their clients 30 to 40% more than they get on their own. Give Brown O'Haver a call. Their job is to help you adjust your insurance claim and get more money than you get on your own. If you want more money, call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Kevin, who are you in for?
I'm in for Pioneer Roofing. John, if anybody out there, if you or anybody you know was affected by the recent hailstorm that went across OKC down in the Midwest city into Choctaw, give Pioneer Roofing a call. They will come out, give you a free roof inspection, let you know if you qualify for a replacement with your insurance company. Okay. There are a lot of people, a lot of door knockers who come in from out of town, from out of state. You don't know where they're from. You don't know if they're actually going to do the job that they're saying they're going to do. Pioneer Roofing is a local company based in Norman. They'll take good care of you. Give them a call, 405-549-2712.
Okay. Friday night, also Halloween. Do you have a Halloween costume?
I don't. Do you?
Yeah. The Office is dressing up as Mario Kart characters.
Oh, that's fine. Was that Lauren's idea?
Might have been.
Okay.
I gotta go. I'm the purple guy.
Wario?
Is that who it is? Yeah.
I believe so.
I have a purple hat and a t-shirt. That's the extent. That's the extent to which I dress up.
That'll work.
But yes, we have a party tonight among friends down in Norman.
That's fine.
Is a group of it's a charitable group we've worked with before, and they're having a little costume contest. And then I hand out candy on Friday night. You know, the family, I still got a freshman in high school that's going to be out trick-or-treating. She doesn't care. She has no shame.
Awesome. That's
she
awesome.
Has no shame.
Love it.
And my other daughter is bringing, a 7th grader, is bringing, like, this is a little concerning. I don't know if I love this trend, but over the last couple of years, she keeps adding these friends that want to come trick-or-treating because they hear how good it is, but they're all boys. So she's got 4 boys trick-or-treating with her. Which in some ways I feel like she'll be protected.
Yes.
In other ways, I don't know that I need that many young men around my daughter.
Well,
I think it goes both ways.
The bad boy scene.
Yeah. I don't think we're there yet, but it's in the back pocket.
Just let me know. Just know that's I'm on standby for that.
Yeah, that's in the back pocket. All right, Halloween night, Memphis at Rice. I think it's a 13.5 point. Memphis is a 13.5 point favorite. Listen, nobody wants to just hold on to this last group of 5 spot.
Correct.
You know, it's like
South Florida dropping that game was massive for them.
I know. It's like whoever it is, it started out as Boise, right? They were the first loss. South Florida lost. Memphis. We'll see what happens to Memphis. So
yeah,
that's something just to keep an eye on there. What we thought was going to be a much bigger game coming into the season, before Penn State reeled off 3 straight losses. I don't even know how many they've had since then, and fired their coach James Franklin, who, by the way, looks like the leading contender for Virginia Tech. Is that what you're hearing?
I've heard the same thing. There's a lot of good jobs out there. I think he should take his time. And this thing's not done yet. We're not done with this coaching carousel yet.
But
if you're Virginia Tech, I would be very excited.
Home run. I think it's a home run.
I'd be very excited if James Franklin was going to be our coach if I was Virginia Tech.
They have been in the weeds since Frank Beamer left, and
correct.
You and I grew up in the 90s, obviously with Michael Vick, and then later Marcus Vick, but even
Tyrod Taylor.
That's what I was thinking. Tyrod Taylor. Where you have really, really good Virginia Tech teams, where playing in Blacksburg meant something.
Yes, great atmosphere, and they're going to get after you physically, and obviously elite special teams.
Yeah, and so I think to get James Franklin, that actually to me makes sense. So we'll see.
Sense.
Back to this.
Real quick, Penn State 0-4 in Big Ten, by the way, in Big Ten play.
Okay, so they lost another one. That's fast. It's just fascinating to see a team like that. That is crazy, because even as we're watching the Oregon game, and even when that game ends, you don't think they're that bad. You just think Oregon's really good.
Correct. Well, how about Oregon going on the road and beating a really good Penn State team, and it just fell apart after that?
Unbelievable. So anyway, Ohio State 20.5 point favorite. Miami's at SMU. This was a game we thought Miami might struggle with in the beginning of the season. SMU hasn't been that team. Miami also had their loss to Louisville, so we think that's woken them up a little bit. The second half against, was it Stanford last week? They really woke up and looked really good. We'll see. I would like the Mustangs. I'd like the Mustangs to make this interesting. but I kind of think Miami probably rolls.
Yeah, you, to your credit, were very high on SMU last year. You picked them to actually win the ACC early.
Yeah.
And this year, yeah, I mean, losing to Baylor by a field goal, losing their rivalry game to TCU by, 35-24. But then they beat Syracuse, they beat Stanford, they beat Clemson, which I don't know what that even means. We just know that at the very least, Clemson has talented football players.
Right.
So you win 3 straight, but then you lose at Wake last week, 13-12, if you're SMU. And that
So
just
weird.
can't happen. Yeah, you're
No.
still in it. You're still in everything. You can't drop that conference game. But somehow they're still alive, but it's going to be rough. They got Miami. They also have Louisville in a couple weeks. So we'll see.
West Virginia at Houston. For everybody that is paying attention to the Boomer Bevo podcast, if they want to think back to about 4 or 5 episodes ago where Kevin and I went off about how Houston really hasn't done really anything in the Big 12, and that's just a really disappointing addition to the Big 12, and it's just such a weird deal that they don't win. Since that conversation, they've risen to number 22 in the country and are 7-1.
Yeah, nice win against Arizona State on the road last week.
And they are a 13.5-point favorite at home against West Virginia.
Also, with Houston, the schedule sets up for them. West Virginia at UCF, TCU, and then at Baylor to finish the season. So they're still firmly in the mix for the Big 12 championship game.
I haven't looked at the Big 12 standings.
I've got them in front of me.
I imagine BYU's still on top, right? Because they're undefeated.
BYU and Cincinnati both undefeated. 5-0 conference.
Is Cincinnati undefeated?
No, they're 7-1 overall, but they are undefeated in conference play.
Okay.
Cincinnati dropped their first game to Nebraska, 20-17. And they haven't lost since.
Yeah, and we haven't. Tech lost their quarterback, so we wonder if Tech is as good as they clearly were at the beginning of the year. Utah has just not had the same. They lost to obviously Tech and BYU. Iowa State, Arizona State, kind of the usual contenders have kind of started to fall to the side. We're literally talking BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston right now.
Correct. Yeah,
who am I missing?
That's who. BYU, Cincinnati, Tech, and Houston right now leading the conference. Tech and Houston are 4-1 in conference. Utah is 3-2. So is Arizona State, K-State, and TCU.
I think the Big 12 gets 2 teams in, right?
Into the playoff?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think, sometimes, the name recognition plays a lot in this part. So will they put BYU and Cincinnati in the college football playoff? Can you see that? I just can't see that. Texas Tech would have to win out. Just because there's a schedule.
What if Tech wins out and beats BYU in the conference championship game?
That would mean 2 wins over BYU because they play them on November 8th in Lubbock.
Oh.
So
that doesn't work out then.
If they went out, Big 12 champion obviously is going to be in. Do they get in that
large? The question is who loses? Who can afford to lose the Big 12 championship and get in?
Yes.
Can BYU afford it? Houston, Cincinnati? You're saying none of the above.
BYU, they would have to go undefeated for the rest of the regular season, I think, in order to survive.
And potentially lose to Houston or Cincinnati. And then you get your 2 in. Because the name recognition for BYU is there. They would love to have BYU there.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay with that. I think they'd rather have them than like Cincinnati.
Kevin, we've only made it through 4 games. I'm going to ask you to stop derailing the conversation. All right, we got games to cover.
What do you mean? What do you mean derailing it? How do we derailing a conversation?
Because we're talking about the Big 12. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. We don't have to. We'll get through the games when we get through them. Kevin, don't put pressure on me. Look. We'll see. Texas, but they're Texas Tech's quarterbacks after the year, right? Baron Moritz or Morton or whatever.
Morton. I honestly did not know that he was
Google
out for the season.
Google that up
keep going on. I'll look that up.
Louisville at Virginia Tech, 9.5 point. Virginia Tech's 9.5 point home dog. Indiana at Maryland. Indiana's 21.5 point favorite. We've got the biggest cocktail party in the world. Georgia at Florida, which is played in Pensacola?
It's played at Jacksonville.
Oh, it's played at Jacksonville.
Yeah.
7.5 point favorite. They split the stadium along the sidelines.
It's not the same.
And it's just not the same.
No.
It doesn't create the same level of intensity.
No.
Not that I want them to change it and try to copycat. I'm just pointing out it's not the same. Georgia only a 7.5 point favorite. Billy Napier, has he been fired?
Oh yeah. Napier's gone. Yes,
that's right. I'm sorry.
Napier's gone. They fired him after beating Mississippi State.
So I'm not sure how Florida is only a 7.5 point dog.
They must think they're going to get the next week we're going to be fired up team re-energized with the interim coach. I think that's what that comes from. Real quick, going back on Texas Tech, it was actually Will Hammond, the second quarterback, the one who replaced Baron Morton, who tore his ACL.
Oh.
Yes. Baron Morton is still recovering from a leg injury, but they expect to have him back. The third string quarterback finished the game.
Wow.
So
two dudes are hurt though. I wasn't
got two injured
quarterbacks. They got issues in the quarterback room. That's fair to say.
They have issues in the quarterback room for sure. They need their guy back, and they got to go to K-State on Saturday.
Notre Dame at Boston College. Notre Dame's a huge favorite. They are just write them down for the playoff as much as it's weak. I think they should have to play in a championship game. Texas Tech at K-State, aforementioned Texas Tech, 7.5 point favorite. Despite their quarterback issues, K-State pretty disappointing this year. It's going to be interesting to see, you wonder about a K-State if they, as a program, if they start to lose momentum, will they be able to garner some of those NIL dollars that other schools have?
Yeah. 4-4 overall, losing to Army, losing at Arizona, of course, losing that opening game in Dublin to Iowa State. So, but they have back-to-back wins over TCU and Kansas State. So maybe they're starting to find their footing. It's a big one for them. Big one for them this weekend.
Virginia at Cal. Virginia's a 4.5 point favorite. Here's the thing about Virginia. I'm sorry, they're holding on by a thread. Their last 3 wins are by a total of 6 points. So they're playing with fire. You wonder if the 3-hour time difference across the country impacts whether they're able to hold on for another week. That's a line I would keep an eye on. I don't think we're going to pick this game, but I think I'd be favoring Cal as the underdog at home.
Yeah, this was very interesting. Schedule again for Virginia. Cal, Wake Forest at Duke, and Virginia Tech at home. They've got an opportunity, John, to at least play for the conference. Miami, with their one loss, Miami can win out and still not play for their conference.
Who else would be in there?
Georgia Tech.
Oh, if Georgia Tech wins
Georgia Tech is undefeated overall. They're 5-0 in conference, and Georgia Tech has North Carolina State, Boston College, Pitt, and then the Georgia game, which does not affect the conference standings at all.
Does Virginia? How does Virginia have the tiebreaker over Miami?
Virginia's still undefeated in conference.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, they haven't lost a conference game.
So that NC State loss was not a conference loss?
That was not. Don't ask me why.
They did lose to NC State. I'm remembering that right?
Yes. I don't know why, but I know it's the weirdest thing ever.
Okay. All right. Well,
it was a non-league team. I'm even looking at the recap here from ESPN. It says that they beat North Carolina State in a non-league clash between 2 ACC conference teams. Don't ask. I have no answer for why or how.
That's classic ACC. South Carolina at Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off a big win, I think, at OU. They're hosting South Carolina. South Carolina, I think it's probable they gave up their last gasp against Alabama, gave them everything they could handle. And
they really did. Yeah.
Came up short. I take Ole Miss to roll here. We might pick this game, I guess. We've got a couple to choose from. But Ole Miss is a 12.5 point favorite at home, and I kind of like the home favorite.
Yeah, I mean, They got to be fired up. I'm sure their crowd will give them a nice welcome after that big win on the road. Norman is not an easy place for a team to go and win, so it's a really big win for them. And for them, hopefully they're rolling. And I mean, it is set up for them big time with their schedule. South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida at home, and then the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, which is always an interesting one on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving this year at 11 a.m. So they've got an inside track to the playoff, and they've got a chance. They'll need some help, but they've got a chance to even play for the conference title.
Who's their loss to? Is it to Alabama or Georgia?
They lost to Georgia. A game that they scored touchdowns on their first 5 possessions of the game. They still lost.
So if Georgia wins, that's right. And if Georgia wins out, they'll have the tiebreaker. So they have to have Georgia lose, or Alabama lose twice.
Yes.
Okay, that's right.
And then A&M above them too. So
Purdue at Michigan. Michigan's a 21.5 point favorite. Georgia Tech and the aforementioned NC State. Georgia Tech's only a 5.5 point favorite on the road. With them, I think they're a pretty good team, man. The ACC is weird. Okay, look, forget Miami. I think we all think Miami's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Who's your comp in the SEC for Georgia Tech? Is it Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt, I would say, yeah. From a style, they run the same type of offense.
So they'd still be pretty good in the SEC, you think? You think they'd be?
I think so. Yeah, I think they'd be a good team in the
If you gave Georgia Vanderbilt schedule, they'd be 7-1.
If you give Georgia
Tech Vanderbilt schedule, you think they'd be 7-1?
I think so. Yeah, 6-2.
You think they'd beat maybe Missouri, maybe not?
I think, yeah, they have that type of team. They're very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
But Haynes King, man, that dude is tough as nails, man.
Yeah, which is kind of like what we got with Bobby, right?
The thing is, though, I just wonder if he would survive because he takes a lot of punishment. If he would survive against an even higher caliber of athlete that he'd be facing in the SEC week in and week out.
Yeah.
That would be my only concern because he takes a lot of hits.
USC at Nebraska. Look, I don't know. The Matt Rule to Penn State, I feel like it's died down a little bit, largely because Nebraska hasn't been holding up their end of the bargain. You still think Matt Rule is the odds-on? You still think he's the odds-on favorite to go to Penn State?
I think so. I mean, what's happening with this coaching carousel, man, is there are just more good jobs than there are at least known coaches to take them.
Right.
And we're not done with this.
No.
More coaches are going to get fired as the season progresses and then after the season. So this stuff is crazy. So I think if you're Penn State, you just want to lock him up before he takes another job because there are other good jobs available.
You're a Nebraska fan. How just pissed off are you that you've got a coach that just is treating the job like a stepping stone?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for Nebraska, right? Because they've done everything that they can. They built an amazing facility there, but it's still Nebraska. And as a coach, you're going to be at a recruiting disadvantage no matter who you are. It's just what it is. It's better at Penn State. Obviously, once you get to the Florida and the UCLA jobs, it's even better there, but that's what it is with Nebraska. It's always going to be like that. And it's those Tom Osborne days where they can get the partial qualifier days are over. So they're always going to be at a disadvantage from a recruiting standpoint.
SC is still ranked. They are 23rd. They're 5-2. We might have to pick this game. I think Lincoln Riley's just plodding along. I don't know that he's done anything particularly bad or good this year.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that he starts looking? Maybe it's him that makes a decision versus.
It wouldn't surprise me. It just hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
I'm just curious though. If he looks, where does he look? I don't know if he wants to be in the SEC. Because if he wanted to be in the SEC.
I think he wants to Cliff Kingsbury do the pro deal.
As a coordinator or a head coach?
Yeah, coordinator.
I wonder if he can get a head coaching job in the NFL.
Here's the deal, though. USC only has one loss in the conference. Now,
yes.
I don't think they're Oregon or Indiana or Ohio State, so I don't think it matters. But they do only have one loss in the conference.
And they'll be favored in every game they play except for the game at Oregon.
They don't have to play Ohio State this year.
They don't play Ohio State. They've already beaten Michigan.
Or Indiana.
So that Illinois loss, no Indiana for them. The Illinois loss is going to haunt them though, because they were in that game. They probably should have won that game.
And Illinois turned out not to be very good. Yeah.
If they would have beaten them, then right now you're sitting pretty with one conference loss, or no conference losses.
No conference losses
in conference now. So now you're playing catch up, and it's kind of a logjam with one loss teams in the conference: Oregon, Iowa, Michigan, and USC all with one conference loss.
Cincinnati at Utah. Utah is a 10.5. Utah's a 10.5 point favorite, even though we just talked about how good Cincinnati was. Interesting.
Yeah, I think it must be that home. They got a pretty good environment there, and they're starting to play well. And they played fine. They were okay against BYU. Just give BYU credit for outlasting them.
They're ranked 24th. That's a ranked matchup. They're ranked 24th. All right, I think
they want to win that conference, so
we might actually pick that game. And then following our closing out the SEC matchups, Mississippi State at Arkansas, Kentucky at Auburn, where Auburn is a 10.5 point favorite. We know Arkansas's coach has already been fired. They're going to give Levy another year. He's shown life. The team has shown life despite not getting wins.
Yes.
I don't think.
Will they get their first SEC win this week? Are they going to beat Arkansas?
No. Well, maybe without a coach, it could be sketchy. Is Kentucky Auburn playing to keep their job? Is Mark Stoops playing?
I think both coaches are planning to get their job. I don't know if this one plays as big of a factor in the decision, but Auburn, you better win the game. You can't lose to Kentucky, man. Hugh Freeze. There's no circumstance.
Auburn's a 10.5 point favorite. All right, we've got. All right, let's start. We got OU, Tennessee, Texas, Vandy, Georgia, Florida, Cincy, Utah is the other ranked matchup. I don't love a ton of these other games. I'm thinking SC, Nebraska, unless you've got Miami, SMU, something like that.
No, SC, Nebraska is good.
Okay, well, let's start there. SC, Nebraska. The line is, here's the line. There was a little indiscrepancies last time. Here's the line.
We're doing ESPN from there. How about we just confirm that now? We'll just do ESPN going forward.
ESPN 6.5. Nebraska's a 6.5 home dog to the Trojans.
I'm going to take USC to cover here. I think Matt Rule might still be a little distracted by everything that's going on there, and USC just has better football players. I think they get the job done.
I am going to take Nebraska to cover. I don't know if they win, but I'm going to take them to cover. They're at home. And Matt Rule is the exact kind of coach that gives Lincoln Riley trouble all the time, whether it's just a toughness factor or the way he approaches defending their defense. I like Matt Rule in this matchup of coaches. I don't know if they end up winning, but I like the matchup. Cincy, Utah. Utah, we just talked about it. 10.5 point favorite, despite being lower ranked than Cincinnati. I think it's too many points. I'm going to take Cincy to cover.
I hate to agree with you here, but I feel the same way. I feel like Utah will win the game, but I like Cincinnati to cover.
Cocktail party, Georgia, Florida. I have no idea how this is a 7.5 point spread with a coach that's been fired. I have to take Georgia.
Georgia's defense has not been what we typically expect from Georgia from a defensive standpoint. With that being said, there's just too much uncertainty around Florida right now, and I like the way that I'm going to stop this plan for UGA, so I'm going to go with the Dogs here. I hate agreeing with you on 3 or 3, but got to roll with the Dogs.
No, we're not 3 or 3 because I went Nebraska.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I went Nebraska. Side note, I hope everybody doesn't get turned off by it. I want Florida to win. I would prefer the chaos of Georgia taking an L right here.
Yes.
Georgia, to me, I've got Georgia fatigue. I think they're really good. All the respect for their program. Fatigue. I've got Kirby fatigue. Man, he wears me out.
Yeah.
And so I would love Florida to figure. I mean, that would be just a great story. That would give them 2 losses in the conference. I would be okay with all of that, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. All right. Now we got 2 ranked matchups. Our 2 teams: Texas, Vanderbilt, 11 a.m. ESPN. Texas is a 2.5 point favorite. What do you think?
This one's really tough for me, man, because with Archer's injury, I'm very, very tempted to pick Vanderbilt here to just to win the game outright, just because of what they bring. I am going to go with Texas here, obviously because I'm a homer. That's a big part of it. But I feel like our defense can get after Pavia if we play discipline, force a couple of turnovers. And if Sark has one of his really good opening scripts, which we have not seen this year, FY. I mean, we saw it against Mississippi State. His script was pretty good then. If we can have a good script and we can get up 10-0 or even 14-0, I think it'd be really hard for Vanderbilt to come back when they have to throw the football. So that's what I'm hoping happens. So I'm rolling with the horns this week.
I think it finally ends for Texas. I think the coffin is put into this season. Whether Archer or Caldwell play, I don't think it matters. I think Vanderbilt wins and covers.
What do you think? Do you think it's close? Do you think they, win by 2 scores? What are you thinking?
No, I don't think it's 2 scores because I don't think they've got the ability to win by 2 scores. I could see 24-14, which I guess is not close.
Well, it's 2 scores. It's two scores
20,
there.
Yeah, 21-4. I mean, I'm not like.
Yeah, I'm thinking 24-20 either way is what I'm feeling with this game.
I
21-17 type deal.
I just think Vanderbilt.
They've got a lot of experience.
I think they're better than Kentucky. I think they're better than Mississippi State.
Yes.
Let's just face it, you struggled against both of those teams. And
yeah. I feel good about the game, better about the game being at home, but everything you said makes sense. I have really no argument for that.
Oklahoma at Tennessee. Oklahoma is a road dog. Starting a lot of freshmen on the offensive line. It's true that defense travels, and I think they got exposed last week and kind of embarrassed a little bit by Ole Miss. I think they bounce back, Kevin. I'm going to say OU squeaks out the win in Knoxville 28-27.
Okay. All right. I'm picking Tennessee here.
I don't blame you.
Because
for the same reason you did. I don't blame you.
Correct. And these games, the margins are so thin on these games. It's going to come down to one kind of freak play that flips the outcome either way. The Oklahoma offense right now is really struggling. Can Mateer get the ball downfield? The opportunities are going to be there against the Tennessee secondary. We just haven't seen the deep shots since really the Auburn game. Can you get that back? If you can't, Tennessee wins. If you can, you have a really good chance, especially if that defensive line. And it needs to be a dominant performance, not just like the one sack you had last week against Ole Miss, the one sack you had against Texas, not going to get the job done. You're going to need 5 or 6, or even if you don't get the sacks, Aguilar's going to have to be on his back a lot.
I would love to say we need some turnovers, but we just haven't seen them this year.
Yeah, it helps though. What about a sack fumble? They're always looking so deep. That's really what you need.
Please give me a strip sack fumble, like just something. We just haven't seen it this year. I think
somebody can step up.
I think if Nico was the quarterback, we'd have better chances to strip sack fumble like we saw last year than anything we're going to see this year.
Isn't it crazy how this has turned out to be a pretty massive upgrade for them? I just did not see that. I thought it was a bad deal for Tennessee all around and for Nico. Now it just ended up being bad for Nico.
Okay. Brent Venables goes 0-4 in the next 4 games. Just hypothetical. I'm not saying he will.
Yeah, we're talking worst case scenario for the Oklahoma Sooners.
And they finish 6-6. Does he keep his job?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Okay.
6-6.
That's
you can't
number
lose
one.
to LSU.
That's number one. I don't think you can lose to Missouri either. I don't care how good Missouri is. I don't think they got a backup quarterback. I just don't think you can lose to them.
Yeah, technically their third string quarterback, because their starting quarterback got hurt in the first game. That's when they brought Pribula in.
Yeah, I think the Missouri loss would be even worse than LSU, but both of them. But anyway, so they go 0-4. I agree. I think he's gone. Despite the chaotic nature of the coaching search. I mean, I think the issue is, people are, if he's 8-4, which I even said at the beginning of the season, if he's 8-4, it should be strong consideration.
Yeah.
What I wasn't taking into that
fact, you said he should be fired at 8-4.
Yeah, and I'm still not necessarily against that, except for the changing landscape of the coaching search. You don't want to get in a bidding war with Ole Miss and LSU and Penn State. I'm not sorry, Ole Miss. Well, maybe Ole Miss if Kiffin leaves, but you know what I mean. Florida, LSU, Penn State, Auburn maybe, Kentucky maybe, UCLA. Even though I know that that's not a job, it's part of the matrix of who's going to take what and where they're going to come from and who are you going to go against to try to get. So that's the only thing at 8-4 that's made okay. Hands up. I guess this is just where we're at. That's number one. Okay, so they go 0-4. I say this as it relates to the Tennessee game. I know Bob Stoops and Josh Heupel are not necessarily on Christmas. They're not exchanging Christmas cards and a lot of text messages. Yeah. Is there any chance that you could get Heupel to come to Oklahoma?
Oh, man. That's going to take a lot of work. I think he would be the best candidate for the job out of anybody else who's out there, because obviously he knows the place. His offense is great. He's just done a great job at Tennessee, making them a playoff team in a tough conference, right? They don't have a lot of the advantages that, Florida, a Georgia, a Texas, even a Texas A&M has. Even Oklahoma has better, you have Dallas 3 hours away. Tennessee necessarily doesn't have that. So I think he's done a masterful job with that program, but it's going to have to be a lot of mending. And also the question I have with if the Oklahoma job comes up is they're going to want some clarification on this whole Nagy thing and who's in charge of recruiting players and stuff. I just don't know if a lot of coaches are going to want to walk into a situation, at least someone like Josh Heupel is going to want to walk to a situation where he doesn't have full control over who they are recruiting.
Dude, you keep saying that. I think they have full control. Nagy's job is to.
You don't think that's a legit question that a coach would have?
I think it's a legit question, but I think the answer is really simple. The head coach is going to be in charge of the program. He's in charge of the program. He's in charge of the players that are going to be on there. But that doesn't mean he's got to negotiate every NIL deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't mean he's got to have his running backs coach, who I hope is, we'll see who that ends up being. But let's use his D line. He doesn't need Miguel Chavis spending half of his time scouring film and determining who he's going to go recruit, when he can have an entire staff that it can be really, really, really good at identifying high school talent, identifying transfer talent, assigning values and NIL valuations to each of those, and how much everybody's going to get paid, managing the roster from a compensation standpoint up to the point where the coaches have the ultimate say. I guess my point is, I don't think it's that hard. You brought this up before. I don't think it's that hard. I really think it's a matter of Nagy and his staff going to Miguel Chavis. Okay, dude, you're the defensive ends coach. We're going to have to replace R. Mason, and we're going to have to replace Marvin Jones Jr. We've got 2 targets in the portal and 2 targets on high school. Here's the 5 guys we think you should go after in high school, and here's our 3 targets for the portal. Here's the money you can pay for each of them. Go get them.
Yeah.
Who do you like? If there's somebody you don't like, just tell us. I don't know why you're worried about that as a process. That seems like a really good process to me.
It is, but it's a new process. And, we're talking about the most stubborn people on the planet when you talk about college football coaches. They just don't deal well with change. And
I think the stubborn guys
are getting change.
I think the stubborn guys are getting weeded out, man. I think Mike Gundy
is he going to want to walk into that? I think it's honestly, I think it's a legit question.
No, he wants to walk into it. No, the reason he wants to walk into it is because it's an infrastructure that few schools provide the support to their coaches that way.
Okay. I think it remains to be seen. I'm not saying it's a bad process. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's the wrong process. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's so new, and we're talking about stubborn coaches who can bend and flex for NIL and things like that. It's a question here. Is he going to want that? I think it's a legit question for someone like Josh Heupel or anybody,
Yes.
any non-coordinator, anybody who's already established head coach. Just wanting to, am I in charge or is this guy in charge?
Dude, the head coach is in charge. It's college football. That hasn't gone anywhere.
Okay.
The head coach is in charge.
TBD.
I mean, I don't know that there's another candidate out there that gets me fired up. Like somebody texted me, a longtime listener. I'm not poo-pooing your choice here, but I just, like the North Texas coach. I'm like, okay, I mean,
you guys have historically. I guess what's interesting about this.
He might be doing really good, but I mean, does that get you fired up when you think about the North Texas coach?
That's what's so interesting about this. There's no hot shot coordinator that we're hearing about, like Bob Stoops in '99, right? Kirby Smart. There's nobody.
There's no Dan Lanning.
Correct.
There's no Lincoln Riley.
Yes.
There's no Ryan
That's
Day.
what's so interesting about that. There's no hot shot coordinator. Like that's the next guy. He's next. I've heard nothing regarding any I've heard a little bit of buzz about Will Stein in Oregon, but it's been nothing compared to what we were hearing about the likes of, like you said, Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Bob Stoops back in '99, Dan Lanning. Nothing like that. It's just other head coaches switching jobs.
Marcus Freeman doesn't leave, does he? You talk about how hard it is at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman doesn't leave Notre Dame, does he?
I think he's in a really good spot there, but coaches are always looking up.
They're going to make the playoff again.
They're going to make the playoff again. I think you have an easier route to the playoff as an independent playing at Notre Dame than you do playing in the SEC. But sometimes, man, like with Brian Kelly, just the access to better players could be enough to at least catch your eye. Think about that, man. It's hard to recruit at Notre Dame. It's such a big deal there that they don't have the academic freedom that every other school has. You have to be smart enough to qualify to go to Notre Dame, whether if you play football or not.
Look, I completely understand, but he's had a tremendous amount of success.
He is. Everybody likes him. It's rolling.
It's an easier step, and he's still the head coach at Notre Dame, which
it's a big deal.
Is a big deal. I don't know. I just don't know who else is that. That's my point. The point about 8-4. Look, if they wanted to fire him at 8-4, I don't know that I feel so bad about that. Like,
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to.
No, they won't.
And the thing about it too, that you're 8-4.
7-5.
7-5 is different than 8-4. It is. We talked about this, right? And I picked OU to go 8-4 before the season started.
Yes, you did.
Right?
You did. Yes,
and
you did.
You're losing to. Yeah, right. I mean, it's not like you lost a game you shouldn't have lost. That's when
Kevin, the Texas game.
It's still Texas. It's still Texas.
Listen, I hear you. Look, I hear you loud and clear. I understand that it is Texas and that's a 50-50 game. That's why we have the podcast.
But it's how it happened, though. The way it happened. You shouldn't lose by 17.
That is not a good Texas team.
Correct. You can't lose it by 10. You had every reason to win that game. You can't lose it by 17.
That's all I'm saying.
If you take away the punt return, you still lose by 2 scores.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not. You can lose to Texas, but when you take a look at the totality of this year and you say, okay, well, what happened? Okay, well, the Texas team that you picked to beat Oklahoma is not the Texas team that beat Oklahoma this year.
Yeah, before the season, for sure.
Before the season, right? That you felt incredibly confident. I mean, come on, dude. It's just not the same thing. And then the Ole Miss loss. Okay, Ole Miss is probably going to be in the playoff. You're right. You're right. Ole Miss, Alabama. I get it. I see it. It makes sense. Listen, I'm not sure you can go lose to Tennessee. I think if we're supposed to be a better program than we have been, I think you got to go win this football game. I guess that's my point.
Yeah. It's tough, right? It's because of everybody else firing their coach so early, it puts everybody else in a bad spot. Teams that are kind of fringe teams. Maybe we could make a move, but who do we get?
Am I
You
just
know?
being too Sooner centric in thinking that Josh Heupel would even be interested in OU if he makes the playoff with Tennessee 2 years in a row?
I think it would. I don't think it's unfair for you to think he should be. I mean, the guy won a national championship there, and especially if those people who are, that he had the problems with are gone.
Like Joe C, you mean?
Correct. Josie's gone. And if he doesn't want Stoops around, Stoops is not going to be around like that. And I think Stoops will recognize that, especially if he loves the university like he says he does and like he's shown to. Right? If Heupel's coming in, he's going to have to kind of take a step away with any influence that he has, if he wants what's best for the program. I think you have to contact Heupel if the job's open. Just make everybody else say no. Make them say no.
Real quick,
Lanning and whoever else is available that you would think would be an upgrade over what you currently have.
God, Dan Lanning. I don't even want to think about that. We got to close up here real quick. Your Thunder is still undefeated.
Yeah, so are my Spurs. It's been.
When did they play each other?
I don't think they play each other until I think December 13th, something like that.
Oh, that'd be a sweet winter game.
They also play on Christmas Day.
Did you go to the Kings game?
I did not. No, I went to the Houston game, the opener, but I haven't gone since.
Okay,
I'll be there tonight though. They play against the Wizards.
So Jeffrey went to the Sacramento Kings game. Okay.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, are they any good? He's like, Dad, they would have been so good 7 years ago. And I'm like, what does that even mean? You ready for their roster?
Jeffrey and I have already talked about it, but let me hear it.
Yeah, dude. You got Russ, Dennis Schroeder, Sabonis at center, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, I guess Doug McDermott, whatever. I mean, man, dude, those are like some good players from 7 or 8 years ago.
Exactly. Correct.
What a weird
It's a weird
franchise.
team, man.
What a weird franchise.
They're a weird franchise, and that is a weird team. It's a weird team, man. Having LaVine and DeRozan. And I'm sure DeRozan was not happy when he gets to Sacramento, and then a few months later they trade for LaVine, who he just left. They were together in Chicago.
Who was on that Sacramento team that was even any good when we were younger? That's the last time I can remember.
Well, the early 2000s. Chris Webber, Mike Bibby.
Was Webber? Okay, that was a Chris Webber team.
Yeah, 2000 in the early 2000s. They had a couple of conference final appearances. Yeah, Webber, old Vlade Divac, Mike Bibby, Bobby Jackson coming off the bench, who was a really fun player. Who was the guy? He was their interim coach last year. Doug Christie, Scott Pollard. Fun team.
Yeah, they were. I remember them being pretty good. That's the last time I can remember Sacramento even fielding a team that I could even care about. Like, I honestly think Sacramento could be the kind of team that if you were like, hey, name off NBA franchises, that you could legitimately forget that Sacramento has a franchise.
Correct.
You'd be like going through it and you're like, what is the 30th team? I can't think of the 30th team. What is the team's name? I can't think of it. It'd be Sacramento.
It's very real quick. Victor Wembanyama for the Spurs. Just early in the season, we're only 4 games in, but he is averaging 31 points, 13.8 rebounds, and 4.8 blocks a game. He is it's hard to describe how good he is. And
this is on schedule.
It's right.
This is on schedule.
I called him to be the best player in the league after year 3, before his rookie year. And I'm not saying he'll be the best player in the league though, but I mean he's trending upward.
Here's the deal. You watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander play a lot of basketball.
I have.
You know how good he is as a basketball player. And so does the world MVP, reigning NBA champion. The dude he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yes.
And I think you draft Wemby 10 times out of 10 over him to start your franchise.
Wouldn't
I just
even
don't
close.
even.
Wouldn't even be close.
Is it?
It would not even be a second thought.
And I love SGA. Like but it's just, I mean, Wemby is just, this is.
He's up there in an all-time draft. Just from a talent standpoint. He's up there.
Yeah. You want to see him play games that matter.
Yes.
Right. That's where we're at now in his career, is games that matter. Like what happens when he's in a conference finals game. Maybe it's against the Thunder.
Correct. Yes.
Whatever, where he has to go do what you want to see him do. Can he do it? It's one thing to do it in the regular season. We've seen plenty of dudes. And it's early in his career, to your point, third year, blah, blah, blah. But that's the next step, right? Is like, okay.
Yeah, you got to get to the playoffs and make some things happen. You got to at least get to the playoffs this year.
We've seen what SGA does in the finals of an NBA series. And in some cases, that's take it over. Right? Yes. Take it over. And J-Dub, take it over. Now it's
J-Dub scored 40 points in a finals game.
On a broken hand.
Yes. On his shooting hand, too.
Yeah, dude. The Thunder are undefeated. He's not even playing.
He's not even playing, yeah.
Will he be back? Will he be back by Christmas?
They have not really issued any official timeline on him. I hope so, because the way the league works now is in order to qualify for all NBA teams and for any of the postseason awards, you have to play 65 games. So hopefully he's ready to go so he can do that, because I'd like to see him. He was third team All NBA last year, second team All Defense. J-Dub was. So I would like to see him continue that, career trajectory. But even if he isn't, he's going to be awesome this year. And he's been working on shooting and finishing and passing and dribbling with his left hand since he's had the, surgery on his right hand.
That's what held me back. That's what held me back in high school.
Offhand stuff.
Left hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I mean, that and an inability to play at a high level, but it's the left hand, right? I mean, golly, if you get a left hand, geez, you'd be a really good high school player, regardless how big and tall you are.
Just being able to handle with your left, drive left. And that's the thing. Even last year, he was able to drive left and finish left. Now, I've seen him, obviously, just in a gym, but shoot left-handed, which is insane.
It won't be as good as Larry Bird, though, right? We'll agree with that.
No. That's different. It's rarefied air.
Somebody go check that. You want to have some fun. Anytime you're just bored and you just need a timeline cleanse, you go watch Larry Bird's left-handed game against the Hawks. I think everything he did was against the Hawks, by the way. I think he literally lived to troll the Atlanta Hawks. And yeah, played a whole game with his left hand, scored 29 points, all of his shot free throws left-handed. I mean, come on.
Dominique dunking on his head, though, he was probably, what the heck is this guy? You hadn't seen that kind of ferocity.
Listen.
Obviously, he had much better teams, but Dominique was.
Atlanta Hawk, Boston Celtics games were so freaking good. And you know what was great about it was they would come on TBS, right? Because it was like the Braves. TBS would show every Hawks game.
Yeah.
And so you just, as a kid, you're thinking, well, man, I guess the Hawks are the only team that play basketball because they're on TV all the time. I love it.
Yeah, it was great watching the Braves on WGN showing the Bulls games. Are you serious?
I mean, yeah. How lucky were we that we had a television station that literally showed every Bulls game?
Yeah.
Every single Bulls game when they were the greatest. When they were the greatest team in the world.
Yeah, they're winning championships every year.
I live in Oklahoma City and I can't even see every Thunder game.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't see everything. I don't even know. If I had Fox, could I see all Thunder games?
If you have the sports package, you should have the FanDuel Sports Network that shows all the Thunder games that are not being shown on ESPN or not even TNT anymore, but NBC,
Peacock.
whatever.
Peacock.
So yeah, you should. If you have that, if you have Cox in the sports package, then yes, you can watch.
Real quick, I know we're going long. That's okay. This has been fun today. Is ESPN going to fall off of YouTube right now? Is this what they're doing? Are they doing this to us during college football?
They do this at their negotiations, and we always end up losing somehow. And they threaten they might go off the air for an hour or so, and then they get it sorted out, and then everything's fine. So I don't know what their latest gripe is, but just figure it out.
It's so dumb. Just stop it. You're going to raise our rates anyway, so who cares?
Correct.
Listen, I love YouTube TV, but they've raised our rates like $40 in the last 2 years. I mean, it's just
man. And I've had it for like 5 or 6 years, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
You had it when it was like $29.99.
Yeah, I had it pretty cheap, man. Yeah.
All right, brother. Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy the game. We'll talk Sunday. Boomer.
Took 'em.